I'm on an app called Reality. Uh, I will do live streams and stuff on here. This is as close as I can get to a humanized version of Artie. Have fun with that. I did a live stream. And I recorded that live stream. None of the recording. I got the music, I got everything, I got my artwork, but I got no recording of my voice. All the lore and all the fucking shit that I talked about on there that I was gonna make into a video on YouTube. I was gonna make into a video on here. I didn't get a thing. It was basically muted, even though everyone on that stream could hear me. I am mad at myself. I'm sorry. I'm just mad. I'm angry. This is just me re-recording everything that I just said. Basically. It's not anyone's fault, it's my own fault. But I'm just so mad about it. Anyway, enjoy the video. Hello, this is Artie Everdoes. This is going to be a new type of video since there was an app called Amino, but it's dead now. It's full on gone. I could no longer get my story about certain characters back anymore. So they were being rewritten currently. But this is going to be a really long ass video. I will say that now. If anyone that has the attention span to listen to my yapping, good on you. If you don't, oh well, I try. You can check out my other artwork if you want, but anyway. Before Amino died, technically, I had this idea for a while, because I didn't really know what to do with my OCs for a really long time, other than I am making full-on stories about them and everything. I'm still doing that, it's just some of my characters I have not gotten to. But anyway, a lot of these OCs were fandoms that I bid in, and some that are more original to a story, but those would not be talked about on this channel. It will probably be talked about in a different channel, which you can go check out at some point when I first get the video out, to be honest with you, which I will leave in the description. Anyway, this will be part 1 of my first video about talking about the My Little Pony fandoms. Kind of what started my channel anyway. This one will be pretty long. A long part. Because I'm only talking about 3 characters on here instead of all of them. Because there's a lot of MLP OCs that I made. A whole bunch. So it's only part 1 for today. I will make other OCs, talk about my other OCs from different fandoms, like Dragon Ball and stuff, other shows that I was into, or games in general, like Sonic as well. Anyway, on to the first one. Artie Everdoes. Artie Everdoes is my main mascot for my artwork and other social media, to kind of be basically a brand, I guess you could say. This is my creation, this is who I go by as for my artwork, even though in real life I don't go by that name, and how I draw myself is fairly different. Regardless, Artie I made when I was really young, when very first off G4 came out, 2010 basically, which I think is the same year. I don't know, I'm not looking it up. Anyway, she was really I didn't know anything. This was way before also the Flurry Heart episode, and the whole reason why Artie's an alicorn. Artie's an alicorn is because her family, one's a Pegasus, the other's a unicorn. And they became an alicorn just from that, because I thought, you know what, that would be interesting, why not? But I also wrote the stories that Artie's not a princess, she was just born this way. And how most alicorns, I guess, before the show got more episodes over time, I guess you could say, a lot of the alicorns we only see, other than the error podium at one point, is that all alicorns are treated as royalty of some sort. And I decided to kind of make that Artie's theme, is that despite being an alicorn, she's not royalty at all. She isn't someone that you have to look up to. They have to be the next princess or some shit like that. No. I thought, yeah, why not give Artie trauma? Anyway, Artie is a version that Artie is kind of based off of myself, even though she's not really a persona of me anymore. They originally were, but not as much anymore, considering I grew up fine despite the trauma. Anyway, so because of that, her story stems off mine a little bit. Just a little bit, and I was going to work on their story and everything, but I don't really... I kind of stopped working on that because I was making a different story that was stemmed off of myself, and I just haven't really worked on it. I might later on when I get my series out, but right now, Artie's story is going to be a mystery for y'all, specifically. Artie has a virus. Artie has a evil version of themselves named Virus, and they are stemmed off kind of similar to that analog horror called the Smiling Tapes. But I made Virus when I was in middle school, and I never watched the Smiling Tapes before. So, I got inspiration to what we were learning about with that fungus that could just basically zombify, which is kind of what also the Smiling Tapes is. But still, Virus is solely it is pretty much all it is, just the Smiling Tapes, and that's really it, because it's almost exactly that. And I thought I made something new up when I was younger. No. Though I won't really talk much about Virus on this channel, maybe not. Maybe later on, when I actually, with other evil versions I have of all the other characters I have, maybe I'll make that a video eventually, but right now just knowing the basics. So yeah. Also originally, at the time, I didn't understand too much about alicorns because the series was still pretty new at the time. And again, before the Flurry Heart episode, before I decided to give their parents one a unicorn and one a Pegasus situation, I made Artie a alicorn because one part is that I like magic, and at the time I liked flying, and that was it. I didn't do much with them back then. I was those were the two things I liked before I started having fear of heights, to be honest. So yeah, and then I started actually making the story of why they became an alicorn. And the reason is that parents are that, but that's really it. I haven't put more into it other than part of their story is that they wear a cloak or a really big hat, depending on the situation. Usually a cloak that hide their wings. By the way, the reason why I keep saying they and them, Artie is non-binary. I was originally going to redesign them to maybe making them as a unicorn because of my fear of heights, but every time I did that, it looked wrong. So Artie stayed as a alicorn for the longest time. Their really old design didn't change much to their current design. Their current design is how they are, and their old design, they look relatively the same. It's just the hooves were different and the wings are slightly different, but the color scheme was all just the same. The cutie mark is also different, but people who knew me like 8 years ago or 9 years ago, how old are those videos? Either way, seen like Artie's old cutie mark. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Before I just decided making Artie very simple. Artie cannot do spells. Since I've heard that only like if you're a unicorn and only your ability, you can only do this, but you can't change the ability of sorts, or your hobby in a way. Artie can appear canvases, paints, stuff like that, even though I'm not much of a painter. Anyway, but I have like several other hobbies RL, and Artie does as well. I know cutie marks are usually considered as your special interests or special talent, whatever it's called. And it's like, it's basically your hobby. It's not your job. So, Artie, despite my job also being my artwork, it is still technically my hobby. I do not really want to make my art a job, because that would mean I would hate my job. And I've seen people do that. I was like, they hate doing this because it's their job. And I was like, I don't want to hate art because of that. So that's why I'm very like 1 slot or 2 slot of commissions and barely much of anything at all. I barely work on commissions, and I do my own thing a lot of times. Next part of this, shipping. In these videos, in these like however many I'm gonna make, I'm going to talk about why I made these OCs and why I have them still to this day and has been redesigned several times. It's because of me growing up. I had fictional crushes. I'm pretty sure everyone has. And everyone was like, oh, I want to be with this fictional character of some sort. But you can't because they're not real. So sometimes there are Yume shippers. If you don't know what that is, it's basically just self-insert shipping with a character you like. And then there's OCX canon, which I do a lot of. If you've seen me on my other socials, which I barely post OCX canon because there used to be a lot of hate on it. And so I never posted ever about it. So till it kind of slowly lifted a little bit and no one seemed to be as mean about that. So I started posting a little bit more about it. Regardless, this would also kind of expose me of who I liked and who I always sent for, basically. I will say this now, a lot of the characters that are also often that are shipped with whatever OCs are not always ones that I simped for. There is one in this video that I didn't simp for, and it's just a favorite character of mine. Artie's crushes, or being shipped with. Early days of Artie. Early days of, at the time, and before I knew what the hell LGBTQ was, I didn't know who to put Artie with. For the longest while, I didn't know who to put Artie with. At the time, I only thought straight, because that's kind of the household I grew up with in a way. So, the one I chose, and was technically more so my favorite, I didn't really have a crush on this guy, so, was King Sombra. I loved his design. I still do. It's really cool. God, I hate his voice in Season 9. But yeah, I put Sombra and Artie together. Though I only have like one picture of it. And I haven't done anything with that ship at all. Because when thinking about it, and I guess got more into knowing his story and stuff, it doesn't work very well. They wouldn't work well as like a couple. A lot of people tend to bend the ways of doing that regardless. There's a ship between him and Twilight. There's a ship between him and Fluttershy for some reason. And I was like, alright, that's fine, I guess. But yeah, I don't see Artie and Summer being together. Maybe I could put Summer with someone else. Anyway, so at the time, I put Artie with Luna, who was my crush at the time. And at the time, it was pretty much just Nightmare Moon, not much of Luna, sadly. It got more into Luna later on in the seasons, but yeah, I put Luna with Artie. Technically, I made Artie have more so a crush on her. I didn't really fully put her with Luna / Nightmare Moon. Either one, I still put them with both. But I did watch a lot of content to do with her, to be honest, which were a lot of fan-made videos. A lot of fan-made videos, to be honest with you. A lot of artwork as well. Not in that way. I will say that now. I was a child when this happens. Anyway. So, I put Artie with her because of that. Around, season 2, with the wedding scene and everything, Chrysalis showed up, and I love her design. Yes, I had a crush on Chrysalis. Oh no. I'm gonna regret this, aren't I? And so yeah, I put her with Artie obviously. I'm not, other than me actually falling in love with Chrysalis, I don't really know how well Artie and Chrysalis would work together, to be honest, but oh well, I guess. They're a ship together, apparently. Oh well. Anyway, for a long while, I didn't think those were the only ones that I was ever going to put Artie with, till the episode with Daybreaker came up. I know that one's more towards a dream and towards Starlight's imagination type situation. If there was an evil Celestia anytime soon, I was like, I really like Daybreaker. And yeah, obviously, you know my answer. I put Artie with her as well. I would have liked to see more of like Daybreaker and see if what the possibility with her would be like in other universes and stuff like that. But no, that was more of a one-off thing, but I really like Daybreaker still. There's another character that I shipped Artie with after a long time, and that is Rarity. I don't know why. I guess I just wanted a different pace, a little change for her, but that's it. So, there's Artie. There's that entire story of Artie. Well, maybe not all of it, but still. On to the next one. Creative Flame. Creative Flame is my second MLP OC that I created. She is more so my elementary to middle school, or just any school year at this point, where to the point that I was just extremely shy towards everyone. But way much back then, her very first design, she was just an RD copy. She was just a Rainbow Dash copy. Her very first design was fire themed colored of RD, and it was pretty much just the same person. Or I mean pony, basically. Same pony, just fire colors, and it was originally named Fire Dash. Later on, I did give her a more original look and was called Fire Art for a while. Her design didn't change much either to her current look. Her more original design back then, despite being an alicorn, we'll say this now, a lot of my OCs were alicorns. Again, still didn't understand alicorn stuff for a while. I just thought they were cool. Anyway, I'm guessing so has a lot of people on DeviantArt these days. Back then, her older design was, she was basically like Fluttershy in a way, like very first season of Fluttershy, like the very first episode when you first talk to her, and that's it. And I kind of still kept that a little bit, just a little bit. either way, her story was written and was interesting, but all of that was kind of lost to Amino, and I barely remember. I only remember some bits to it, but not much. Either way, I can tell you a little bit, but right after, maybe after I talked about the shipping part. Right now, not right now. Creative Flame is her new name, and is a Pegasus instead of an Alicorn. Her design didn't really change much, and the colors, ironically, kind of makes her look like the lesbian flag a little bit, just a tiny bit. It's also kind of funny that I did make her a lesbian. Anyway, but her whole special ability is that she's an author. She writes for a living. She makes up random stories and stuff, and sometimes publishes books about it. Her Kiku mark originally was a pencil on fire. Now it's a purple quill drawing a flame. Alright, in a way. She needs to be updated so bad. Her shipping was only with one character. Well, originally two, but I scrapped that one and decided, why not? And so it's just been one character that I didn't have a crush on, I will say. It was a character that was my favorite for a while, which was Rainbow Dash. Yes, I still stand by the fact that I was a fan of Rainbow Dash, and still am to this day. I do not care what people say. Anyway, but yeah, she was only my favorite. I never had a crush on Rainbow Dash. So Creative Flame was shipped with her, and for some reason, I still kept it to be shipped with her. I haven't really changed much or anything like that. I could put Flame with someone else, but I haven't figured out who to put them with. The only other character I was going to put them with was another OC of mine called Decorate. We'll get to her soon. But I scrapped that idea because I saw them as friends, not much of being shipped together. So instead, I just left her be with RD. Now onto the story that only I can remember a little bit of, is that despite Flame being an author, she was very introverted and very shy, obviously. Very first season Fluttershy. Decorate, her friend, likes to try to help her get out of the house a lot of times. So she isn't just cooped up under her blankets and reading stuff or writing her own story and working on stuff. Wow, sounds like my life. I still do that, to be honest. So because of that, Decorate tried to bring them to the Wonderbolts. One of the Wonderbolts show. This was a time when RD was a Wonderbolt, not when she was like way before she was wanting to become one but couldn't. This was when she was actually a Wonderbolt and actually doing the shows and stuff. Flame was kind of forced, or felt forced, but Decorate with good intentions tried to get Flame to go with her to the game. That's it. Or to the show, not game. Oh well. It's like a sports event, basically. Flame does like the Wonderbolts, but she doesn't like leaving her house because of crowds. So, yeah. She has a fear of crowds. I don't know what it's called, but yeah. She gets over that fear over time. I'm pretty sure that's what I wrote over time, anyway. But yeah. While Decorate was trying to get her a little bit out of her comfort zone, Flame really didn't like it there or anything. As much as she does like the Wonderbolts, she wanted to leave. That was until RD showed up. And she stayed for the entire game. Well, for a point of the game. of when RD was there and then left, and then she wanted to leave immediately because of the crowd and the loud noises. Wow, this explains a lot about me still to this day. I don't like going to... I went to a baseball game once and wanted to leave immediately. Anyway. But yeah. Flame, this was very cheesy of me to write because I'm not very good at romance stuff. I will say that. I'm not very good at that, but the only instance of me ever writing romance stuff is from Wattpad. Oh no. Oh boy. So my only inclination of that one was Wattpad. I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, it was like love at first sight situation, though it was Flame who fell in love with RD. RD, I don't think maybe noticed her in the crowd. I don't know. I haven't actually written that far of how they got together and everything. Maybe one day I will. But yeah, but right now it's just not much of anything. But yeah, that's it for Flame. On to the next one. Decorate. Decorate was originally also a next-gen character before getting remade, obviously. Back then, she was like called Party Hats or something. I don't remember her name exactly. But she was basically another version of Pinkie Pie. Or, I guess, more so Surprise, because I did make her a Pegasus later on. Her other old design is... I question her old name. It's like, despite myself being a kid, and at the time was really into creepypasta, so I was more so doing a creepypasta thing with her than I did with much of anything. But when I'm going to explain about her, to me, I have the time when, with her old design, it made me think of Crafty Corn from Poppy Playtime, with needing red paint to paint something, and all that. Her old name is Bloody Fun Art. That was her old name. Because Fun Art was technically her name for a while, and Bloody before that is because she really likes to color red. That's it. She just likes to color red. It had nothing to do with blood or anything like that, but in my case, it probably did. But at the time, it's that she really wanted to use all the decorations or party equipment that is just red, and that's it. And that's why it made me think it was Crafty Corn. Her newer design is not that anymore, even though her newer design is a little bit different. Is that I gave her shorter hair, while her old design had longer hair. I think I still made her like that. Also was an alicorn, but yeah. She was... Her old design had the colors of bisexual on it, while her newer colors look like she's pansexual. She is bi, but she's not pan. She is bisexual. And one of the characters that I didn't put anyone with, other than, again, the idea of me stemming it off of putting her with Creative Flame, but decided against it and just made her friends. Decorate is blind. I thought it would be a little bit interesting about it, but yeah. Well, a little bit more interesting for her to be a blind Pegasus. Like, how would she be able to know how well she's decorating everything and all that? I know most MLP stuff, and sometimes mostly as background characters, not much as, like, the main characters or anything, they have disabilities at times. Sometimes maybe they do, and sometimes they don't, but it's usually only background ponies, so I decided it would be interesting if one of my main ponies had a disability. So Decorate is blind. Though she does love to decorate, and hence her name. But yeah, how she got her cutie mark and how she got mostly everything is that as a filly, there was like a school dance going on, and she wanted to help decorate, but a lot of people didn't think or I guess a lot of ponies didn't think she could do it because she was blind, but she was able to do it, and that's how she got her cutie mark as well. So that was red, but regardless, her personality is just Pinkie Pie, or more so Izzy from G5, because she's not like exactly like Pinkie. She's more like Izzy. So I should say that she's more like Izzy than Pinkie. Anyway. But yeah, there was no part in shipping her or anything like that. But I have mentioned in the old story that she was shipped with someone, but I don't remember if I actually gave who she was shipped with a name. If it was an OC or another character from the show, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think there was. But yeah. But yeah. There's Decorate. Not much on her because I'm kind of still working on her, to be honest. But yeah. For now, that's it. That was part 1 of this video. I hope you did enjoy. Even if you weren't watching, you might be listening to me. Or if you weren't here and looking at my work, good to know. I'm glad. I just like talking about my characters, pretty much. And this video, I thought that might have been a good idea. So, I went ahead and did that. I will make more. I'm sorry this took so long to make. I kept putting it off while I was working on other stuff. So, for now, this is just part 1. I will see you in the next part, or I may see you in another video of some sort. And also, I found my rarity video, and I can make my claim and talking about my rarity eventually. But until then, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!